All right, so it's been a little over 6 months and I've already put over 12,000 miles in the Hummer EV SUV. And in this video, I want to do a 6-month review. I want to tell you about the things that I like about the Hummer. I want to tell you about the things I don't like about the Hummer. And then at the end of the video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys know whether or not I regret buying the Hummer EV. If you follow my channel, if you subscribe to my channel, which I hope you do, but if you don't, about 6 or 7 months ago, what I did is I did a whole series. So after I got rid of my Cybertruck, I went out and I looked at the Sierra EV truck. I looked at the Silverado EV truck. I looked at the Rivian. I looked at the Hummer. Obviously, I had my experience with the Cybertruck. And so I ultimately decided to go with the Hummer EV SUV. And so, like I said, at the end of the video, I'm gonna let you know whether or not I regret that decision. And if I do regret my decision, which EV would I have got otherwise? So let's get into the video. All right, before we continue with the video, I want to thank today's sponsor, which is MagBak. As you guys know, I've been working with MagBak for quite some time now, but this is a new product that I am showing you guys today. And I recently received the brand new Apple iPhone 17 Pro, and the good folks at MagBak went ahead and sent me over their new Elite case, which is compatible with the 17 Pro, 17 Pro Max, 17 Air. And I have to tell you guys, this is by far the best case I've ever had for any device, regardless of whether it's a phone or not. I mean, the features that are packed into this case is just ridiculous. Let's kind of go over these things real quick. As you can see, there's these ribbed rubber pieces right here. It feels really great in your hands. You see it's on both sides. There's even this little rubber pinky portion down here at the charge port, and that's really nice for when you're holding the phone like this. It gives you that comfort. There's also a finger loop, which is rubberized as well, as you can see here. It makes holding the phone really easy, really nice, very secure. You feel very confident when you're out and about with your phone that it's not going to fall out of your hands and it's going to be able to stay safe. Another thing is it is MagSafe compatible, so you're able to attach a wallet, different devices to this. Charging makes it real nice and easy. There's a kickstand, which is nice. So if you want to have it vertical, horizontal, all the positions is really, really nice with this kickstand. It does have this raised lip, which I can appreciate because it does protect your cameras. Another thing with the iPhone 17 Pro is the dedicated camera button, and MagBak has you covered in that regard as well. There's a dedicated space there, which is really nice. There's even these little eyelets. If you want to put a lanyard on the phone case, you can do that as well. Two big features that I really, really enjoy about the MagBak Elite case is the fact that there's these magnets right here, as you can see. And that makes it really, really nice for creators. If you're out and about and you want to kind of mount your phone on a pole or something metal, you can go ahead and do so. And these magnets are super strong, really nice. You can mount your phone, do some selfies, do some content creation. I really appreciate that. Another thing that I can appreciate for all those sneakerheads out there is each corner has what MagBak is calling like an air pocket. Think of it like Zoom Air on your Nike sneakers. That is what MagBak has implemented into their phone case. In each corner, there's these little air pockets, and that's gonna really help with absorbing the impact if you were to drop your phone. For anybody that likes to really customize their device, MagBak has you covered as well. So as you can see here, there's 3 different colors. There's red, blue, and green. You can customize your case. You can change out this raised lip that protects your cameras. You can replace the rubber side ribs that I mentioned that help keep everything real nice and grippy. And you can change out the colors and kind of customize to your likings. But beyond just accessorizing your cases, they do come in 2 different colors. So you get the black, which I showed you that I have installed on my phone right now. And you also get this really nice white color. One thing I really appreciate from MagBak as well is that they give you the case, but they also give you a screen protector. And they make installation really super easy, super simple, very streamlined. You essentially just put your phone in here, you close it, you pull the tab, voila, your screen protector is on your phone and you are ready to go. And as you can see, I put the white case on and this really gives it a really sleek look. Really looks really good. You can see the buttons have more of a sheen and a shine to them. It really classes it up. I really like the cream white. If you want to go ahead and pick up one for yourself, I'm gonna go ahead and leave my coupon code, which is 15butter for 15% off, and you can go ahead and grab yours too. So once again, thanks to MagBak for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into the video review. So one thing that I really appreciate and I really liked about the Hummer EV is the fact that they give you some really great tires and wheel combinations right out of the gate, right from factory. Now, if once again you follow my channel and you subscribe to me, you will know that I recently changed out these wheels and tires, but these are OEM. And so this is something that you can get from the factory. And as far as I know, this is the only EV truck or SUV that actually offers from factory mud terrain tires. As you can see, these are the Goodyear Wrangler Territory mud terrains. And these are in 35-inch tires with 18-inch wheels. The only other EV truck or SUV that offers even an 18-inch wheel is a Silverado Trail Boss EV. And that's the only one that I know of that actually offers the 18-inch wheel. Every other EV that is off-road capable truck or SUV has maybe all-terrain tire, not a mud terrain, and also has it in about a 20 or 22-inch, even sometimes 24-inch wheel setup, which is not ideal when you're off-roading. So that is one thing that I really, really appreciate about the Hummer EV. Another thing that I really like about the Hummer is the fact that it comes from factory with running boards, which is really nice, especially because it's a larger vehicle and I don't need to spend any extra money on buying running boards. I don't need to get third party. This is all from factory. It's warranted. That is really, really nice and something that most people might kind of ignore, but I really appreciate that. Another thing that I really like about the Hummer EV SUV is the air suspension. You're able to raise and lower the suspension on the fly. That's especially helpful when off-roading, and it really gives you that quick and easy adjustability and makes traversing obstacles off-road much, much easier. So this is going to be a positive, negative, and it just depends on which Hummer you choose. But I love the fact that my SUV Hummer EV actually came with a spare tire, and I think that's really, really crucial, especially when you're off-roading. I've already used this spare tire twice out when I've been off-roading, and so I think it's very, very valuable. But here's the problem. For whatever reason, GM doesn't give you a spare tire on the truck version of the Hummer EV. So that's something that if you're considering getting a Hummer and you're gonna do a lot of off-roading, if you want the truck, go ahead and buy the truck, but buy yourself a extra spare tire. If you don't want to spend the money and you've been debating whether to get the SUV or the truck version and you want the spare tire, then maybe just select and go with the SUV because you're going to get that spare tire. And let me tell you, that spare tire has saved me. So that is something that I'm happy with my SUV, Hummer EV, but I can see if someone is buying the truck version, how that could be a negative. Another thing that I really enjoy about the Hummer EV is the fact that it has a Frunk, but it's a powered Frunk with an exterior button, which is really nice and convenient. You don't need to fumble around with the app. You don't need to jump into the vehicle to open up the Frunk, which is really, really nice. And as you can see, it's a really good size. There's tie-down points here, which is really nice. You can see I have a bunch of gear, a lot of my recovery gear, a lot of my off-road gear. Also comes with these bags, which is for the removable roof panels, which we'll talk about later. There's a light in here, which is really nice. One thing that's really cool is that there's actually a cigarette outlet right here. So that way you can power things here up into the Frunk. So I think that's a really nice feature as well. Another positive for the Hummer EV is the fact that there's an outlet in the back, a 110 outlet in the rear of the vehicle. And as you can see, I have my Iceco APL 35 fridge, and this fridge just lives in the back of my Hummer. It's constantly powered. Obviously, when the vehicle is off, then it's not powered. But when I'm on road trips, this thing comes with me. When I go off-roading, this thing comes with me. When I go camping, this thing comes with me. And it's all because of the fact that I'm able to not only power it, but I'm also able to tie it down, as you can see. So this thing's not gonna be rolling around, even though I do have some damage, and you can't see, but on the backside, there's some damage from this thing rolling around when it wasn't strapped down at one point. But yeah, that's a positive. Something that I really enjoy about the Hummer is the fact that there's an outlet back here. Now, I will say this. I wish that GM would have given us more outlets here in the back. Even just one more outlet, I think that would have been really great. Been really nice if it would have been on this side as well. So now you have one on the right side, one on the left side. But even if they put both on one side, that would be fine. I wish they would put another 110 in the frunk, not just the cigarette lighter. So that's something that I would say is a negative. I want more outlets, but the fact that we at least have one is a plus. I also wish that they would have put a 240 in the SUV. I know the truck version has 240. You know, some people might say, well, what do you want 240 for? Well, big thing would be to charge another EV. If you've seen my video where we went to Big Bear and there was multiple EV vehicles that went on that off-road adventure with us, you will know that there was a Model Y that went with us that was kind of getting low on charge. And Cobra, my good friend Cobra, was able to use a Cybertruck to power and charge the Model Y. And so that's something that I don't have the capability of doing here. And that would be a reason why I would want 240. So I would love to see GM give 240 and the capability of charging another EV out on the road, out in the wilderness, out camping, off the beaten path. That would be something that I think would be a huge upgrade for the Hummer. Another thing, quick and easy thing to talk about that I really appreciate about the Hummer EV is that it has great capabilities when it comes to towing. I mean, you're able to tow up to 12,000 pounds with the highest spec truck version. And I believe this SUV version can tow about 7,500 pounds, which I think is plenty for most people. Not a lot of people are towing more than that, especially when you're towing with the EV. You're probably not really wanting to tow with more than 3,000 to 5,000 pounds. So at that point, 7,500 pounds, plenty of power, 12,000 pounds, way above and beyond. So even though I really enjoy the size of the Hummer, one thing that's kind of weird, and I wish they could have maybe rethought this, is just this lower storage area. It's kind of useless for me. As you can see, I keep this adapter for my charging when I go to a Tesla supercharger, but it's kind of a useless space. It's not big enough to put a bag. It's not small enough to kind of just hide away. I appreciate the fact that they gave it to us, but for my needs, it doesn't really work for me. I love the Cybertruck because I was able to put my bag in that space. And even now there's a refrigerator that fits in there, which is really nice. There seems to be no accessories. There seems to be really no use for this space. So for me, this is just kind of a useless space and something that I rarely use. With that being said, the back space underneath the seat, I use it, but it's kind of like there's this deep space, but there's really no access because of the legs of the seats in the back. So it's kind of a weird, awkward storage space. I mean, it's usable, but once again, it coming from somebody that came from the Cybertruck, where this seat, it was able to lift up and you kind of had this big open space. I wish you had that capability here. It is what it is, but something that I wanted to note. Something very simple, easy. Most vehicles have it, once again, from somebody that's coming from a Cybertruck, which didn't have it. These, I guess what you would call, oh shit handles. The Hummer has them. It's something that getting in and out of the vehicle makes it much easier, especially if you're like an older person or you transport or have family members that are older that frequently ride with you. You know what I'm talking about. And so these handles come in handy when having an older person with you. Also, when you're off-roading, something to grab onto, especially for your passenger, these handles come in handy. Okay, so here's a positive and a negative. So as you can see here, here's the display for your estimated mileage, as well as your battery level, current state of battery, I should say. And one thing I will say that's a huge positive is in my 6 months, 12,000 miles or so of driving the Hummer EV, the range is very accurate. Obviously, if you're speeding, you're driving kind of crazy, that range is going to fluctuate up or down. But if you're just driving normal speeds, driving very just normal, then your range, whatever it's estimating, is going to be pretty accurate in my experience. But here's a negative. On the display, this is all that gives you. So right here, as you can see, for each block is 10%. So there's 10, 20, 30, 40. I'm probably somewhere around 42, 43% or battery. I don't understand why I can't just tell you that. Why can't I just say 43%, 42%, 45%, whatever it is? When you're driving, you want to look down real quick. You kind of just want to see the number. You don't want to have to count the blocks. You don't want to figure out, what is this? Is that a 2? Is that a 3? You know, that's a huge miss in my personal opinion. All right, I apologize for any glare, but one thing I want to talk about as well is, unfortunately, anybody that's coming from a Tesla and they come over to probably any other vehicle, one thing you're going to notice, the very first thing that's probably going to be the most dramatic, is the fact that the infotainment screen and the infotainment center is not going to be as crisp, as responsive as Tesla's. And that's just a fact. Tesla beats every company, I think, in the car industry when it comes to that technology. So with that being said, the Hummer isn't horrible, but there are a little bit of quirks that, you know, a little bit of lagginess that you get. As you can see, it's responsive enough. But when you click on things, it takes a little while for things to load. When you want to go to different menus, there's just a little bit of a waiting period. You know, it's just what you get. I think overall, it's perfectly fine for me. I don't think it's a big issue, but I know that there's a lot of people that have got into my Hummer, that have played with the radio a little bit, and have noted that it's a little laggier than they would want. And this is, you know, Tesla people. Everybody else, I think, is going to find it to be just fine. But I think when you're a Tesla owner and you get into the Hummer EV, you're going to notice there's a little bit of lagginess. And I think once it gets loaded and it's been there for a little while, it's not as bad. But especially when you first get in the vehicle, it takes a little while for it to kind of ramp up and get everything loaded in. So that's something that you got to pay attention to. Another thing to note when you're talking about the infotainment screen is the fact that there's no built-in Netflix, there's no built-in Hulu, there's no built-in streaming apps like you would get in a Tesla. And so, once again, I've owned 3 Teslas in the past. I'm very familiar with Tesla. I just feel like when you're buying a EV and the biggest pain is having to go to a charger and sit there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe even more, especially with the big battery pack like the Hummer, you should have streaming apps built into the vehicle, easy access, works well, not relying on any type of third-party apps or devices that can cause connectivity issues or a laggy interface, anything like that. I just feel like if you're an electric vehicle company, you're making an electric vehicle, you should have streaming apps built in to your center screen. Hummer EV doesn't have that. One thing I really hate is the phone charging location. It's down here. It doesn't really work very well. It's kind of hard to connect. See, like even there, I put the phone down. It's not figuring out. The phone's there. It's just not ideal. It's not in an ideal viewing position. As you can see, it's way down here. You're looking up here. It's not ideal. I hate it. I don't know why they didn't just put it here. My son's phone is in the way, but I think this would have been a great little spot. You could just put your phone right here, let it charge, wireless charging. You know, I don't see the big deal. Luckily for me, I have my MagBak wireless charger, and this thing works great. Just put it there with the new MagBak iPhone 17 Pro case, and much better experience, way better than having it down here. All right, so now I'm going to talk about what I truly feel is the biggest issue with the Hummer EV, and that is the charging recommendations that the built-in Maps, which is Google Maps, gives you and provides for you. I'm assuming, and I don't know this for sure, that they're working closely with EVgo, because that's pretty much all they want to recommend is EVgo. I think just in a recent update, Electrify America is now being pushed to you when you're driving. But other than that, it's really just like EV go, EV go, EV go. That's where it wants me to go. And I understand that the charging is capped at superchargers to 150 kilowatts. So it's not giving you that recommendation. And trust me, I've gone in the settings, I've tweaked it, I've messed with it, and it will give me a Tesla supercharger as a recommendation when there's like nothing else anywhere near you. But it'll make you pass 3 or 4 superchargers to go to an EV go station. And I'm talking about driving 20, 30 miles. I just don't understand that. I want the screen to give me the closest charger. Give me the stats at that charger. If it's a Tesla supercharger, let me know 150 kilowatt is the max speed you're gonna get. And if I want to maximize my time and get a faster speed, hey, 30 miles down the road, there's an EV go. You may want to charge there. But the fact that it doesn't even give me the options, and let me show you guys. So if we're sitting here, and I know for a fact there's a Tesla supercharger, there's actually 2 that aren't that far from me. If I click on this, it's going to populate, and look what I'm talking about. EV go, EV go, EV go, EV go. Everything's EV go. Electrify America, electrify America, electrify America. It finally gives me, as the number 9 option, a Tesla supercharger, when I know for sure there's a closer Tesla supercharger than this location that I charge at that is GM certified, or GM, you know, the NACS adapter required, you know, all that type of stuff. So I have an upcoming video on charging a non-Tesla, and so I'll get more in depth into that. But that's the biggest negative, in my personal opinion, when it comes to the Hummer, is that there's so many times where I'm frustrated out on the road because it's recommending a charger that is way out of the way. I know there's a supercharger closer. The only reason why I'm trying to punch it into the center screen is because I want it to precondition, and I'm having to fumble around. It's a pain. So once again, there's a future video coming for that. But that is the biggest miss from GM when it comes to the Hummer EV, is the fact that it doesn't give you the closest charging locations. It's just pushing EV go. So one thing I want to talk about is the off-road capabilities of the Hummer. I think the Hummer has great off-road capabilities, and the way you change your driving mode is with this wheel. So when you turn it, you'll see up here, it's going to change your driving mode. So there's off-road, you have terrain, tow haul, normal, my mode, which is you can customize it, and then it kind of gives you some information, and then you're able to go into a whole off-road menu. So once again, from someone who's coming from the Cybertruck, this isn't as robust as the Cybertruck. There's not as many settings that you could tinker with, but in my experience, and I have a few videos of me off-roading in the Hummer, the modes work really well. The negative, I will say, is the fact that at $100,000 plus, I think every Hummer should have locking differentials, not just the top tier trim off-road package that's costing you $130,000, $35,000. I think every Hummer EV should have that capability and have that built in, having the lockers. I think that would be huge and really make things much, much easier when off-roading. But I will say the traction control, even on my 2X, works really well. I haven't had any issues really off-roading when it comes to traction, other than my own user error and me learning the truck. But I've been able to get out of every obstacle I've ever gotten into, and it's worked really well. So off-road capabilities, I think, are really, really nice on the Hummer EV. But once again, if they had the locking differentials, I think that would be a game changer for every Hummer owner out there. Another thing that I want to point out is the fact that the Hummer has this really cool mode, which is called air down mode. Sorry for the glare, guys. But what this is you could set your PSI, right? So if you want to go down to 25 PSI, if you want to go down to 15 PSI, you can go ahead and set that, hit start, and as you're deflating each tire, the car is going to go ahead and honk. And it's going to let you know, hey, that tire is done. And that's a really cool thing because it makes it that much easier when you're airing down your tires. Anybody that follows me and watched most of my videos, you know one of the biggest gripes I had with the Cybertruck was the fact that they didn't give you a rear view mirror screen for the camera that's in the back of the vehicle. And something so simple, once again, you're at $100,000 plus for a vehicle. I don't understand why Tesla didn't do that, but this video is not about the Cybertruck. This is about the Hummer. The Hummer gives you this. There's a lot of different settings. There's different brightness levels. You can zoom in. You could tilt it down and up. So really, really appreciate that. And I love the fact that we have that in the Hummer. Okay, now let's talk about what probably is the coolest, best feature of the Hummer EV, and something that I haven't seen in any other EVs. Something very similar to the Jeep Wranglers, which is the fact that you're able to remove the panels and essentially turn the Hummer into a convertible. So it's super simple, super easy. All you're gonna do is pull this lever here, and that's it. And now you're able to remove this panel. They're super lightweight, as you can see. And now you turned it into a convertible. Also, every Hummer comes with bags that you can store these panels in, and they store perfectly in the frunk. As you guys saw, my frunk is full of a bunch of equipment, so I can't put my panels in the frunk, but I'm gonna just throw them in the back seat for the video. So as you can see, now we're in convertible mode. And one thing that I wanted to point out is I only took off the front two panels. You could also take off the rear panels for the passengers in the back seat as well. So that's really cool. So now everybody gets this big, open, airy space. Another thing I want to talk about is the four-wheel steer. That's something that the Cybertruck had, and the Hummer has that as well. And what's really great is the fact that this Hummer is big. It's a larger vehicle, but when you have the four-wheel steer, it makes maneuvering in parking lots or doing U-turns much easier and sometimes even better than smaller vehicles. So let me go ahead and show that for you now. Another thing that I really enjoy and love about the Hummer EV is the fact that almost 9,000 pounds, it still has incredible speed and takeoff power. Okay, and what is probably known as the big feature that the Hummer has that no other vehicle has is what they call crab walk. So the way you enable that is by clicking this button here, and you actually hold it. So I'm gonna go ahead and hold it. Let me put this on the screen. Once again, I apologize for the glare. There you go, you can see it's enabled. It's showing my different camera angles. All right, so another thing that I would say with the Hummer EV that can be problematic for a lot of people is the actual size, specifically the width of the vehicle. It's not a big issue for me because I'm used to bigger vehicles, but even for someone that has experience, I sometimes kind of get myself in situations to where some parking spots are a little tighter than I'd want it to be. Now, granted, the Hummer does have a 360-degree overhead view right here, as you can see. So when you're parking, that comes in extremely handy, and I use that almost every day, anytime I'm parking in a parking lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave this screen on, and I'm gonna go ahead and park here nearby and kind of show you guys what that parking experience feels and looks like. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna turn this off because I don't want to use that. I'm gonna go ahead and just pull into this parking lot, and there's some parking spaces right here. I'm just gonna park in one of them. Obviously there's no other cars, so this shouldn't be too difficult, but I just want to show you that. And let's see how well I did. As you can see, I'm hugging way too much on the left. I have a little bit of space on the right. It's not a great parking job. That's kind of what I'm talking about. This happens every day, even with someone like me that has experience. So luckily with this camera view, I'm able to kind of just pull it out, reposition it, and get the car what I would consider now. That now is a great parking job, but I had to do it again. I've never had to reposition my vehicle so much ever in any vehicle I've ever owned, and I've owned a lot of vehicles. This Hummer, I'm constantly having to reposition my vehicle when I'm parking because it is very wide. All right, so one of the things I want to talk about is Super Cruise. What Super Cruise does is gives you the ability when you're on the highway or freeway, and only when you're on the highway, you can enable it. And you'll know when it's able to activate when there's a little steering wheel icon, as you can see, that just popped up there. It's gray. That tells me I'm able to activate Super Cruise. So now all I need to do is press this button here. That steering wheel will turn green. This turns green up here as well. And now Super Cruise is activated. Obviously it's blinking because I'm blocking the camera. There's a camera in here that watches me, and if I block it, it'll start flashing, as you can see there, and it'll deactivate. So in my experience with Super Cruise is it works really, really well. I can't really say too many negative things about it. If you're new to autonomous driving, you will absolutely be impressed and love it. As you can see, no hands, no feet. If you're going to compare it to full self-driving in Teslas like the Cybertruck, this can't compare. Full self-driving will get off the freeway, navigate streets, navigate turns, and take you to your destination and park the car for you. That's not what Super Cruise is. Super Cruise is essentially cruise control on steroids. You get on a highway, you activate it, you turn it on, you're able to relax, you're able to go on these long road trips, and it really takes off a lot of that stress. Like right here, as you can see, now I'm gonna be getting off this exit right here. I need to disengage and manually exit the freeway. That's something that I wouldn't have to do with full self-driving in a Tesla, but for a GM vehicle and for people that aren't necessarily looking for full self-driving, this works really, really well. I'm extremely happy with it. I use it all the time, and so this would be a plus in my mind as far as a feature that the Hummer has that every other vehicle doesn't have, other than, I would say, a Tesla. So big kudos to GM on their Super Cruise technology. It works really well in my personal opinion. All right, so this is the reason why I love the Hummer. I'm in a big vehicle, which I like big vehicles. I'm comfortable. I have to tell you that the comfort level in the Hummer is really, really well done for my likings. I don't like overly plush. I don't want stiff. This is like a good mix of that. The materials in the Hummer are really nice. They're rugged enough, but plush enough. As you can see, there's some wind noise. I'm gonna put the windows up, but you have this open air, convertible-like situation in a big SUV. I just love driving this vehicle. This is my daily driver, and I love it. The size of it doesn't bother me too much. The comfort level is there. When I take the top off, it feels nice, it feels airy. I don't know what else to say. This is just an amazing vehicle to drive. I know I watch a lot of the TFL guys and their videos, and Roman's always stating how much he loved the Hummer EV, and I echo the same sentiments as far as just a great vehicle. Very expensive, so that kind of prices people out of it, unfortunately, but I highly recommend the Hummer to anybody, you know, whether you're a soccer mom whether you're just a white collar business owner, or whether you're the adventure seeker that wants to go off-roading. I think this vehicle really kind of covers all of those boxes and kind of gives something for everyone. And I don't know, I guess all I could say is I couldn't recommend it enough. All right, so these were my likes and my dislikes after 6 months of owning the Hummer EV. I know I promised you guys at the end of the video I would let you know whether or not I regret owning or purchasing the Hummer. And so far, I would say no. I don't regret it. I think it's given me everything that I was looking for. It hasn't disappointed me. Obviously, there's some things that I wish GM would do a little bit differently, but I think I could do that with any car, right? I think if I grabbed any car off the road, I'm gonna like things, I'm gonna dislike things. That's just the nature of life. Not anything is perfect. But overall, I'm extremely happy with the Hummer EV, and I would buy it again. I will tell you this, the next vehicle that I have my eye on is a Scout motor, whether it's the SUV or the truck. I haven't decided which one I would want, but I look at both of those vehicles, and as long as the size is there and I can have comfort while driving it, that might be my next vehicle. But I know that's a few years away. As of right now, I'm thoroughly enjoying the Hummer EV, and I don't regret it. So once again, guys, I appreciate you guys watching my video. And if you guys aren't already, subscribe to my video, leave a comment down below if there was something that you feel I missed. And I appreciate you guys. See you guys in the next one.